Aloha, welcome to the 13th segment of our Premiere tutorials here. In this short one, we're going to talk about exporting the video. You've gotten everything into the computer, you've gotten it edited, you're happy with it, and now you need to get it out. You need to share it with the world, you need to turn it in for a grade. How do you do that? That's pretty straightforward. Let's take a look. So we can see here that I have a finished product. I've got B-roll, I've got text, I've got editing, I've got all that kind of fun stuff. And I need to get it out in a usable form. Right now, nobody that doesn't have Premiere can see this. Right? It's just me and my hard drive. So I need to just go into the File menu and look for the heading Export, and then go to Media. The one thing I need to be sure of is that I've got my timeline selected, right? So you can see that there's a big blue line about that. If I have something else, like if I have this bottom left-hand window selected, and I try this, File, Export, Media, nothing happens. This is actually one of the things about Premiere that annoys me. It should give you a warning message. It should say, hey, nothing's going to happen. But nope, after waiting around a while, I'm convinced nothing's happening. I need to make sure that my timeline is selected because that's what's going to be exported. Alternately, if I go into the project window, I can select clips here. So I can also use this to export an individual clip or even a group of clips. But nope, I want to export my final project. So I make sure that the timeline is selected. And then once again, File, Export, Media. And what should happen is I get this dialog box that pops up for my export settings. There are a few things that we need to pay attention to. So at the very bottom center of this, you can see that by now, or right now, it says sequence in to out. Now I don't have an endpoint or an outpoint marked on my timeline, so this actually means it's going to play the entire timeline. But it's important to note that if you wanted to output just a little bit of it, maybe you have a friend that was in one scene and you want to just send that one scene to your friend, you can set an endpoint and an outpoint on the timeline. And then by choosing the sequence in to out, you'll only export that bit. Usually I like to change that so that it says entire sequence. So just click on the drop down and go to entire sequence. In this case, it'll do the same thing because I don't have an endpoint or an outpoint. I can actually set in and out points by clicking and dragging on this scrubber underneath here. Again, I don't want to do that right now. I want to export the entire thing. Now over here on the right, there are a ton of settings. We're only going to play with a couple of options though. So this first one, Format, this is a very important one. And if I click the drop down, you'll see there's a healthy number of them. There are literally only two that I use with any consistency. If I'm trying to get a high quality file out, this is something I'm going to submit to a film festival or something I'm going to send to a broadcaster, I'll usually come down here and choose the QuickTime. For literally any other use, if I was turning this in for a grade in my class, if I was going to upload this to YouTube, if I was going to share it with friends, I would go with this H.264. And this is what I expect you to use for class. So click on that H.264 option. It's just a form of MPEG compression. Don't worry about the details. Don't sweat it. The next one down. Now, by default, it goes to the last thing you did. But what you want is what it's set at right now, match source dash high bit rate. So this means it's going to keep the same settings in terms of the screen width and height, the aspect ratio, in terms of frame rate, in terms of color depth, in terms of audio sampling. Everything will be the same in the output file as it is on your timeline. And high bit rate means it will ensure as much quality as it can. It will make it a larger file, but it'll still be relatively small by video standards. Just to click on this drop down, you'll see that there are a ton of things here. These first few come in pretty handy. these are all variations on the match source, so the picture will be the same size, the same frame rate, the same color depth as what you were editing, but you can change the bit rate. So again, if you're trying to save space, maybe you need to email this to a place, to somebody that doesn't have bandwidth, they don't have a cable or whatnot, and they'll be downloading this over free Wi-Fi in a coffee shop or something. You can save them some aggravation by making it a lower bit rate. Just scrolling down through here, you'll see there's a bunch of stuff, and some of these are actually specific to social media platforms. There's a segment of them here that are specific to Vimeo. There's a segment down here at the bottom that are specific to YouTube. Look, there's a couple here for Twitter. TikTok hasn't earned its own yet, but I'm sure it's coming. So if you were going to send something to one of those specific platforms, and that was literally the only thing you were going to do with it, you could choose one of these that seemed appropriate. But for general purposes, you could be doing any number of things with it, including sending it to YouTube or TikTok or Vimeo. This combination here, H.264, match source, high bit rate, is a really good combination to stick with. And if you were only ever going to export one thing, that would be the one thing I would go with. Now here, where it says output name, it's calling it Perfect Coffee because I named my sequence Perfect Coffee. If my sequence was named file 0001, which is a likely thing for it to be named, that would be the name of my output. And it's just not a great name. So what I like to do here, even if it seems like it's the right thing, is I'll click on that blue thing and it'll open up. Right, so I can give it a new name. Well, Scott's Cool Beans. And then the other thing I need to pay attention to is it's asking me where to save it. And by default, it's going to save it at the last spot that you used. In my case, that is not a good thing. The last thing I edited was a podcast, and I don't want this file going to the same place. So I am going to re-navigate here. I'm going to find my external drive, which for my class projects is this Samsung Red Drive. Again, for yours, it'll be G Drive number something. And then what I like to do is to find, I like to actually make a separate folder for exports. So the class demo, this is actually where, or was it coffee project? Let's pretend it's coffee project. No, it's class demo, because this is the class and I'm doing the demonstration, right? So this is the folder that I've been working on, and there's my Premiere project, and there's some other stuff that Premiere has created. What I like to do is to create a folder just for exports. And down here in the bottom left-hand corner of this navigation, there's a new folder thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click that and make an exports folder, which appears right there. Then I'm going to choose that one. And save is a little bit of a misleading thing. It's telling the computer where it's ultimately going to save that video file. And now if I just point my mouse at that, it'll pop up and tell me it's going to my Samsung Red Drive in the class demo folder in the exports subfolder, and it'll be called Scott's Cool Beans. All right. There are a lot, and I do mean a lot, of settings hiding down here. These all fall firmly in the let's not worry about it category. For what we're doing right now, leave things as they set. All right, we checked a format. We've got H.264. We chose settings for that format. In this case, we went with match source high bit rate. We have set a name and a destination for our output file. All that remains is to come down here to the bottom and click this little button that says export. And depending on the size of your project and how many effects have to render, how many titles, how complicated it is, this can take some time. When I'm working with larger files, with 4K files, things that are shot with Camera Raw, or when I'm doing longer things, working on maybe an independent film that's 20 minutes or something in length, this can take hours. So this is a good time to go and get a cup of coffee, maybe grab a sandwich, take a walk around the building or whatever. In this case, it's going to take a little bit over a minute to export. So we're going to do a little bit of magic manipulation, and I will see you at the end. Whisper, 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 whisper. All right, so our video exported. The interface for the file export dialog box, that has disappeared. You saw briefly in the bottom right-hand corner a little success marker popped up. So let's take a look at what there is to see. Right now, Premiere has just gone on about its business. It's waiting for us to start editing again. So let's hide that. And then we'll open a new Finder window. And let's go take a look in our Samsung Red Drive, in our class demo folder, in our exports folder. There it is, scotscoolbeans.mp4. And if I double click this, it opens up in a preview or in a QuickTime player. And now I can watch.
Hello, I'm Scott, and welcome to my kitchen.
All right, so that's really all there is to it at the basic level. Clearly, with all of those settings there are a lot of options that could be explored. And there's even another program, Adobe Media Encoder, that can be used if you need to get multiple outputs at once. For example, you know that you're going to publish this to your YouTube channel and to your Facebook page and to your Twitter account and to your TikTok account. And maybe each of those exports needs different settings. There's a way that you can do all of that at one time rather than 4 different exports. But that's something that we might talk about in a later video.